Yes, here.
Commissioner Myers,
Here.
Commissioner Roush, Commissioner Benner,
Here.
and Commissioner Patterson.
Here.
Four.
First thing is approval of the agenda for this evening, August 20th, 2018. Did anyone notice anything?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next, approval of minutes from May 21st, 2018, our last meeting. I'm sorry. Does anyone have a motion? I was checking. Does anyone have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And then, do you have the introduction of evidence?
I do. I have here the municipal code of the city of St. Genevieve, the Heritage Commission design guidelines, and then you each have copies of the staff reports.
Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay. All say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, it doesn't look like we have any old business.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so moving on for this evening's business, SGHC 02718, to receive a certificate of appropriateness to install shutters on the front and side windows of 464 Washington. Is there someone here to talk about that building?
Mr. Stupi was supposed to be here to talk about it, but he's on a wreck.
Okay.
Well, he is a wreck, but he's on a wreck right now. So, and
Got it.
pretty much everything, I guess I could talk to him about it, but it's all right here, so. See the property right there. You've seen the property personally, so.
Yeah.
They wish to want to install shutters on the building.
The policy that we now have on shutters, I think if administered carefully, can be in limited use, can be very effective. If it gets away from us and we start slapping vinyl shutters on every old house in town, it's going to be a disaster. This particular one, I think it would be appropriate to have them. But I think we should make up our mind on one point. There, within our district, we have contributing and non-contributing buildings. Should we treat them the same? The contributing are more important
Right.
historically, not necessarily any other. But should we treat those the same? Or should we have a little bit stricter viewpoint?
How will we explain that to the people wanting the shutters? Even though their house is a contributing building and we know that.
Well, I think that if we set the policy that that's the way it's going to be, you can read that into the ordinance we have now.
Well, this is a
But-
non-contributing building, and I don't think it's going to affect, I agree, I don't think it's going
Well,
to affect.
that's what I said. I think on this building, the policy of permitting vinyl shutters
I think that's okay,
may be an improvement to that building.
as long
and
as
to the
it's the
district.
width of the window, like.
Right, right.
Yeah.
It's gotta be able, if they close, they would close the window, they can't be, you know,
They should fit, yeah.
right.
Well, the real problem is having little bitty shutters in a double window or a triple
Right,
window.
right.
But the guidelines does not mention any kind of material. It just says that they should be a combined, the width and the height would be the same as operable ones. It does not say anything about what kind of material is
I
suggested or recommended.
must have read that asleep somewhere.
What's it called?
I believe these would be vinyl, correct?
Yeah, they're vinyl shutters.
Yeah, building edge decorative, 15 by 64, louvered vinyl exterior shutter pair in number 2002 black.
Mhm.
It's very specific in what product they want.
That's right.
On
So I
that,
think
on that, on what we're applying to the building, but I think Ms. Patterson's talking about the code, what the code's.
The code
Yes,
does not mention whether it should be wood or vinyl.
so you would see nothing wrong with all the buildings and the thing having vinyl
I'm
shutters?
going by the guidelines,
Mhm.
and that's what we go by. And if we want to change that, then I think it should be a higher power than
That's
the
not,
guidelines.
we
It
don't
should be the
change,
city.
we don't change them, it's the board that changes.
I think,
I think there is a statement in here that they will be, of a wooden material or a same material. I think it's in here. I didn't come prepared to answer that, but.
In the guidelines?
Yeah,
The guideline that I submitted to you was that there would be operable shutters, and if they're operable, they would be the combined width and height as to fit the window. They would be, combined width and height would be the same as operable ones.
And I took this page right out of the guidelines, it's 62.
Well, do we want to continue with this motion and then discuss that towards the end of the meeting?
I will
Or do you?
I will vote in favor of this particular submission. All I'm saying, it's another one of those situations that we get into where,
Right.
okay, that, you proved that guy, you ought to give it to me.
Well, I agree that we should talk about that. So should we talk about that at the end of the meeting or maybe
Sure.
at a
Do we want to go ahead and have a motion on
closed
this?
session? or-
I have no objection to a motion that we approve this particular one.
Okay.
I was just having a discussion that I
Well, I
think
agree
it's
that we
something
should
that
continue
needs
the
to be
discussion.
considered very carefully.
But I don't think any one of us would agree to vinyl shutters to be put on a
Contributing,
signified historic home.
what about a contributing structure?
That's a little bit of a leeway. I think that should be each individual case that comes up.
This house is a contributing structure, correct? I think all of them tonight are, correct? Okay.
These are contributing structures, but they're vernacular also. They're not, maybe you're referring to a landmark structure?
An example, so what if somebody down the line wanted to put, okay, take my house example. It's not a designated historic home, but it was 1897. It has the original wooden windows that we restored, the original. If somebody down the line wanted to put vinyl windows, shutters on my house, I'd say no. So take each individual house. That's how I feel.
Essentially, what I meant is that we should be careful. This is a new subject that we're coming up with. It's not the last time we'll hear it. And typically, when we come up with something new, you approve it once, and then every other meeting, well, you did it that time, you have to do it this time. And I think the historic district, with the bulk of their buildings with vinyl shutters, would be a little bit.
Well, I think the guidelines would protect us to keep the historic houses, or the more, I don't know what word you use, the more, help me here.
Well, it's precisely what I
To
said.
protect them, but here
This-
again,
This is something new that we have to consider. This particular building, I see no reason not to approve them on
Then
this
let's do
building.
it.
I would rather see wood, but there's nothing that
So
prevents us
would
from-
anybody second that motion?
Who made the motion?
I'll second it.
Frank?
Frank, you made a motion
Or did I make-
to approve it. This
The motion on the floor to approve,
Mhm.
I'll second it. If no one
Well, you,
second.
didn't you make the motion to approve? This house?
Did I?
Uh-huh.
I don't believe I did,
Oh,
but I
okay.
have no objections to doing it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept as presented.
I'll second it.
All who say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry for the argument, but I
Well,
don't
no,
want to
I wanted to say something too. I had a meeting today with Tim Good from the National Park Service. And one of the things that he was so pleased with, and the National Park Service was, it come right out of his mouth and his superiors, is the fact that this community has a heritage committee that takes this serious, the business of these homes in historic preservation. And it's a big plus that we have that why it shows people that we are interested in protecting the heritage and the history, and that's, Washington DC realizes that because you got a big levee around here, and now we're going to have a national park. So the decisions that the board makes, and it's, you have to look at everyone, I think, a little bit different. And I agree with you. You put it on this one, well, where this house and the age of this house, I think we got to continue to be mindful in preservation, but we also have to be mindful that people live in these houses. It's another thing about our town is people live here too.
Yeah.
We live in this town and we live in these houses, and we got to do things that can help them too to be encouraged to fix their houses up. You know, other than having to send them a ticket to do it, which we've been doing some of that to get our houses up to order and painting and stuff like that. So
And if we don't have to, we don't have to.
yeah.
Well,
So-
one other short comment that I might make, it's a historic district we need to prepare.
Right.
Or protect. I mean, it doesn't do us a whole lot of good if we're strict as can be on this house, and then we allow a bunch of garbage next
Right.
door to it.
Right.
It's a district.
Yeah.
It's a
I get that.
historic district, and we've got to protect it, looking at it overall, although we can consider it project by, or building by building.
And I agree with that. you
So
know.
how do you ensure consistency?
Yeah, that's, that's where the board, that's the challenge that the board will have, but I have all the confidence in the board that they'll make healthy decisions, and sometimes they're not gonna be popular. And sometimes the people are gonna have the option to take it to the Board of Aldermen, and the Board of Aldermen might overrule you guys. And I hate to see that, because I think it causes discord, but we haven't seen a lot of that. Very few times, since I've been mayor, that we've brought it, there was a homeowner brought something to the Board of Aldermen, and I like it that way, because that causes less discord, and I think it usurps your authority too as a board. I don't want to discourage our boards that are doing good work to preserve, and I get it. It's a difficult job y'all have. I wouldn't want it. So, but I just wanted to say that. I just want to, again, I appreciate all you do, because it's a difficult job this board has. So.
Okay. Moving on to the next one. SGHC 02818, to receive a certificate of appropriateness to replace a multi-light picture window with similar window at 90 South 3rd Street.
Go ahead.
I was wondering why.
Yes, it's the old brick, and we made up just a corner of the window right there. They want to replace that, as you can tell, that window there by the buffet.
It's going to look exactly the same. Yeah, the reason I brought it forward was it said similar, but it is going to look.
It's going to be really, really close to what's there. Now, the other two on that elevation are made the same, and I don't know that they're going to replace them at this time. They will be a little bit different. I mean, the vertical mullions will be like 3 inches wide, and the horizontal ones will be 1.5 inches wide, and right now I think maybe they're all about the same. So it was just eliminating, this will be basically 4 pieces of glass, where before it was 16 pieces of glass. So, but it'll be divided up similar to what it is.
The mullions will make it look like 16.
Right, right.
Are the existing ones insulated?
No, and that's part of the problem.
This is an improvement, and whatever change is required because you're making the improvement.
Right. The part of the problem is with all of that steam and humidity right there, certainly the insulated glass will help somewhat on that. You're still going to end up with some, but because of all that, the windows are actually rotting out from the inside, not from the outside. So the glass will help that some, and so will the frame, the way we're doing it.
You want a motion?
Yeah, would anyone like to make a
I
motion?
make a motion to approve this acceptance.
I'll second.
All who say aye? Aye. It's been approved and seconded.
Okay. I guess I'm going to get one left. Yeah. I agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one other point after the fact is that is not on the original part of that building anyway. That's an addition.
Right.
I had a little different idea for.
Does anybody know when
On
the
the
date of that part was, like the 60s maybe?
Dick, you know when that addition was added? There's nothing online about it.
Well, I don't.
I didn't know if it was 50s or 60s. No. Okay.
Well, I don't.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next business is SGHC 029-18, to receive a certificate of appropriateness to install shutters on the front and side windows of 399 Washington. Is there anyone here to discuss this?
Is this one of his too?
Would you like to speak again?
Well, I spoke on the first one, I'll speak on the second one. I didn't go where, I don't even know, did you drive by this property?
This is.
Yes, I know
This
that
is
property well.
50 feet from the other one.
Oh, it's up the hill from it?
It's
Down.
corner of 4th and Washington.
Oh, okay.
5th in Washington, right?
4th and
4th
Washington.
in Washington.
We've seen this one on a number of different
Yeah.
times.
I believe they added a fence a few years ago.
The only thing is, in the pictures, it appears that they're not all the same size, but I don't think that that's significant.
There are some slight differences. I actually measured
Yeah.
the windows, but it's within an inch.
Yeah, but the documentation says you're going to use the same size.
Yes, but I do believe Mr.
You're going to have
Stuckey's,
to change them with, I think.
Mr. Stuckey's
Well, he measures those.
intention is to make sure they match the window
Yeah.
size.
Oh, they will.
This is Mr. Stupi's also?
Yes, that's the Minister of Beautification.
Oh, okay,
Him in addition to the homeowners.
Yes.
okay. Well, would anyone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to accept it.
I'll
To
second
approve
it.
it.
Okay, all who say aye?
Aye.
Okay, then Mr. Boga, could you talk to us about the administrative approvals?
Certainly, we had a few administrative approvals, as Mrs. Bowman explained earlier, we haven't had a meeting in 2 months, but we had a certificate of appropriateness, SGHC 021, to install wooden picket fence in the front yard of 164 North 4th. I've been by there, it looks very nice.
Is that a replacement, or is that something new?
That is something new.
It was a chain link
It
fence.
was
an
a
old
fence,
chain link
it's a
fence.
new fence.
It was a chain link fence.
Okay,
Yeah.
if it were just a brand new, it should have come in front of us.
Yeah, there was an old wire fence in there.
You can stretch the definition of
Right.
maintenance on that one, yeah.
The next point, there was no certificate required at 242 Merchant. They replaced a standing seam metal roof with in-kind materials and repaired the built-in gutters with any rotten wood with in-kind materials, and the attestation was provided. SGHC 02418 was to receive a certificate of appropriateness to have a window sign painted at 9 North Main, which is the Audubon building, which is at Hotel Audubon. And SGHC 2518 was to receive a certificate of appropriateness to replace a rear double door with a single double door on a non-contributing building within 185 feet of the Lallam Deer Cabin, right back here at 191 South 7th. The door itself that will be added will actually be more period-oriented than the door that exists there now. And it's not, and it's within 185 feet of the building, but it is non-contributing, which is the administrative approval.
Okay.
The applicant's the owner of both properties.
The applicant owns both properties. Yes, Mr. John Carroll? That is all the administrative approvals.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything to discuss? Okay. I notice on here for other business, it says historic preservation, professional development opportunities. Do you know of any?
I just wanted to bring to light, there are some opportunities. I don't know everything that's been done in the past, but the Missouri Alliance for Historic Preservation has a conference each year. I don't know what the cost implications would be, but I would just like to hear from you all, if not tonight, maybe outside of this setting, as to what you would like for professional development.
One of the check marks for the certified local government is that we offer some training and education to the board. So the date fills out our next report that we have to report in 3 years. We'll be looking for something to demonstrate that we did that.
In the past, we used to attend those. I mean, I've gone to a number of them. And,
I say we send
but
Casey.
I think it's a budget matter.
Well, we could bring somebody in. We did that
Yeah.
1 year.
Yes.
That was awesome.
The Missouri Alliance for Historic Preservation offers to travel and make a presentation also. I'm sure the charge is less than attending a conference.
Well, we only have one person traveling.
Right.
The last one I attended was in Cape, and that was just a few years, I guess a few years ago.
So
It was
something-
good.
Something like that would be suitable for everyone if we have someone like that come here.
When John Leake came, that was awesome.
It's been some time since we've had one. It would be appropriate to
I agree.
try to schedule something in the relatively near future.
That sounds wonderful.
Probably needs to be done.
I will work on that.
And as you're working on it, try and think of something that might have interest beyond just the Heritage Commission, so that some community members are also participating.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Well, there's opportunity, you pay for it.
Absolutely. More benefit.
Okay, are there any public comments? Adjourn?
I gave up my citizenship. That would keep us-
Okay, we shall adjourn.